Hello everyone, nubkeks here, welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video I want to show you my new Nightmare Hydra team incorporating not only the fusion, Mr. Vaultkeeper Wixwell, he's coming in here as well. We were working on this during our live stream a bit earlier today, you might have seen it. I've run the team properly through now for the final results, and we're bringing in Wallmaster Othorion, right? I got him. I was very lucky. Got him in the 10x event before. So wanted to see what he can do, right? This guy's pretty hyped up as being insane. What's he do? Simple enough. Self-buffs himself. Increase attack, accuracy, and speed for 3 turns with an extra turn. Then he comes in, and this is his big move, Falcon Shot, which is a double hitter. Does block buffs. And then on the second hit, decrease attack. And this is based off of enemy max HP. And we know how hard enemy max HP can hit against the Hydra because, well, they've got tons of max HP. So a massive AoE boss killing move with great utility. His A1 is also an AoE, and he gets even turn meter from his A1 and his A2 as he goes. He even has a Hydra. This is the first sort of Hydra-specific passive in the game, pretty sure, where he gets 20% more max HP for every enemy killed, or Hydra head decapitated by him, up to 50,000 bonus HP, which is, well, it's pretty awesome. So yeah, look, this is how I built him then. How did I build him? I have him in 6-piece Slayer, right? 9-piece Slayer was the ideal before. I think it actually probably still is, but as we saw, and I'm not sure what the mats of this actually is. I know Saf has a video talking about it already. We're going to actually be looking at some mats from Saf here in today's video as well, which is really important for building this guy. They did nerf the 9-piece for this quite significantly. So it used to do much more damage. It's not the case anymore, but it's still really good, right? Why are we building Slayer? Well, the 4-piece is nice. He gets 5% turn meter for every enemy hit by AoEs. That's just stacking his inherent turn meter gains on top of the artifact gains for lots and lots of turn meter. And look, it's giving us crit rate, crit damage, speed. These are exactly what we need. And at 6 pieces, this is the key stopping point, the key break point. 30% ignore defense with AoE. Every attack Wallmaster Othorion has is AoE. So yeah, this is absolutely huge. Now, if you don't have Slayer, because it's, it's a pay-to-win set, right? You'd want to be running him in Savage or Lethal, or Merciless would probably be ideal if you can pull it off. They'd be the best ones. Merciless, I think, is very, very good. Again, I find it quite difficult to actually build it up. The attack actually does work. He scales off of attack as well. That will give you some cooldown reduction, 35% ignore defense, even a chance of an extra turn at 9 pieces. So that would be pretty ideal. Now, what have we done then in terms of the stats? Well, for Hydra, I can actually show you my area bonuses as well, because we have built around that. Our accuracy doesn't actually need to be super high, because remember, in fact, let's get the calculator out. Okay, so for Hydra, we've got a 50% increase accuracy, so we only need 2/3 of the accuracy we actually need, right? So you'd ideally want 410, so we can multiply that by 2 and then divide it by 3. So like 273.3333 would be the ideal sort of amount of accuracy to have, and that way you're, even if Head of Suffering is out, you still have the best sort of chance possible really to debuff the Head of Suffering. So we're actually slightly beyond that, which is nice. For the Head of Mischief, I'd really be aiming for, I'm slightly short for what I'd like, but 450, preferably up to like 505. I'd be aiming for 500 plus resistance for Nightmare Head of Mischief to be able to resist him consistently. And then you can see we've got a lot of crit damage. We've got some ignore defense. This makes a huge difference. I'm blocking it, but this is ignore defense. I have 14% out of a possible 20%. That actually makes a massive difference to this champion. And that's what I need to explain here. He scales off of attack. He's got some defensive stats and lots of speed. I have him, I will be honest, in a pretty crazy set of gear. This is, it's obviously not the best in the game, but it's really darn good, especially for being in Slayer set. Like, these boots are nuts and all of that. So yeah, I mean, there's even some room to improve this further, but I'll be honest, it's pretty darn solid gear. For his Masteries, by the way, we've gone like this. We are going to get him Helm Smasher. He doesn't need Sniper. I figured I'd give him Kill Streak for other areas of the game as well, because he can do some fun stuff. Like, let me show you. Let's see him in action, first of all. And then I'll break down the important mats that you need to know for Nightmare Hydra. So he can actually solo a bunch of stuff pretty well. So he will, for instance, rip through Minotaur pretty quick. So we can see him come in here. I've not built him with insane damage because I have put him with the resistance or a little bit slower. But if we obviously ditched all that resistance and built him with, just more attack, he would hit harder and actually rip through this faster. But he rips through Minotaur pretty quickly. Like we can see his A1s are popping off. He's getting lots of speed from it, which is pretty cool. I do have gear on Jinro, by the way, though he's not booked. But yeah, so look at him come in here. Falcon shot, kaboom, kaboom. Hits pretty darn hard. Obviously, it's sort of the damage is capped. Or, well, actually, I suppose it's not capped against Minotaur, but the Minotaur just doesn't have that much max HP, so he just doesn't hit that hard. Obviously, when we go into Hydra, he's going to hit harder, so he rips through Minotaur pretty quickly. I do believe that he is able to solo Spider, but I did a quick test, and it didn't work for me. You'd need more attack stats. So let's throw him in so you get an idea. But I don't have a blessing, but I think I probably could solo with this exact build with a blessing. But again, if you want him to be more ideal for these other, These other PvE scenarios, you might want to not build him with the resistance. The resistance is really nice because he self-buffs, right? He will get targeted by Head of Mischief, so the resistance is actually pretty nifty. Like, don't sleep on it. Let's throw a few of these in here with him. And, let's put in the team. And for this Spider run, I believe Final Campachi, by the way, has a video showing this in action. I think our attack is just too low. Honestly, maybe even a 2-star blessing would be enough. 4-star blessing with the attack and crit damage, I think would be no problem. Yeah, I think that the gear required for this isn't too insane. Like I said, it's just the fact that we're running him with high resistance. Like we've got resist chest piece, I think, and banner. That makes it more difficult. But the extra turn lets all the spiderlings spawn in. You can see for us here, if he got crit right there, he would be dead, which is a problem. The dog is having fun in the background. Yeah, I believe that he is actually able to solo this. And you probably want to give him slightly different masteries. He might want some masteries to heal or whatnot. Oh, no, he's actually not. He actually is healing up as he kills stuff, actually. That's from his passive, which is cool. But yeah, he would actually be able to do this. He might pull it off here. Like I said, I tested this out. I ran it, and I saw he died from a crit. This, to me, didn't look perfect with the build I've got him in. But perhaps with a different build, maybe he's actually going to do it. But just be aware, this is something that the champion can certainly do. Yeah, look at that. He failed. So that's a gear. But you can see the theory here. In fact, let me get up Campachi's video. Let's compare. Okay, yeah, so check it out. Again, guys, this is... Oh, this new YouTube thing is throwing me off. This is Solo, Wallmaster, Super Fast Hard Spider 10, Farm Food. I'll link it in the description from Final Campachi. You can see he's doing it in 30 seconds. Now, his is a 5-star blessing, which does help for sure. It makes you take less damage from the boss, do more, and obviously those stats. Let's see. So he had him... Actually, in similar masteries, he's getting a few extra offensive masteries here. We've built him more for Hydra. And if we come across to his stats, hang on. So here are his stats. Is that correct? Oh, no, there we go. It was rounding up. So you can see he does have a big chunk more attack. And he does have a little bit more crit damage. So he's given up the resistance. So yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure that the blessing would help here for sure, right? But ultimately, it would be... Oh, it is an attack percent chest, but, switching this to an attack banner, getting him the blessing, it's something to be aware of that he can do it for Spider. I think it's not even that bad in terms of gear, but it is something to watch out for, right? Let's come in. Let's see him in Hydra then, and what he is doing. So, with this Hydra team, what have I done with this team? Well, we've got a Necmothar in there. He's giving us the increased speed, decrease speed, and he's actually giving us leech as well to keep us alive. He's mostly, the most important thing he's bringing is the speed control. We'll see here Wallmaster coming in, and you'll see his first hit, we don't have decreased defense because he's actually faster than my Michinaki. We were struggling to build Michinaki today on stream. So you can see his damage, he came in, and like how much damage did he do total? He did a decent chunk total right there. We'll watch the damage total. I think he did just over 1 million damage, and that's without, like I said, any decrease defense on the team. And let's see this. So he buffs up, and he's coming in, and he's smacking in. So you can see no decreased defense. It's doing like 150k, 170, 250. Weak hit right there. But the 2 hits come in. The second hit comes in as well. And yeah, he did over 1 million damage, which is pretty nice. If we skip on a little bit further here, okay, this should be perfect. Okay, here we go. So in this scenario, decapitated head, although no decreased defense. This head has nothing here. Decreased defense here, decreased defense. So he should smack pretty hard at this point. Yeah, there's a lot of text there in the way, but you can see like this time, like, against the decapitated suffering, about 455,000, 350, 380, etc. Suffering really reduces his damage. So let me show you this spreadsheet. Terrifying spreadsheet, but here we go. I'm actually not sure who initially made this spreadsheet, I'm afraid, but Saf from HH Gaming obviously helped, and that's who I got it off of. This shows you sort of the breakdowns of some of these max HP champions, right, and what they can do. Now, what is really important, right, is this target's max HP multiplier. So you might know Newt. Newt on his A3 has a 10% max HP multiplier. Royal Guard's A2 has that. Husk's A2 has that. Now, Acrisia, she has lower, so her double hit AoE actually has half the multiplier. It's a 5% max health multiplier, which means it's quite... You need to put a lot more stats on Acrisia to actually cap out the damage. So for instance, we come over here. This is against the Head of Decay. If you have 60% decreased defense, no weaken, and 25% ignore defense, on Nightmare difficulty, Newt needs 86% crit damage to do maximum damage with his A3. He needs almost no crit damage. It's very easy. Royal Guard, he needs 182%. Husk needs 229%, right, to max out the max HP hit on that head. Now, if we come down to Acrisia on her A2, because it's only the 5%, and remember, we also have the Hydra passives reducing damage. That affects things as well for these AoEs, which is why Newt is so far ahead. His is single target. So all of the Hydra heads, which are passively giving you less AoE damage, are affecting things. We come to Acrisia, right? So that's for normal. For Nightmare, she needs way more, 476% crit damage, right? To max it out with decreased defense, no weaken, and 25% ignore defense, right? You need a lot more stats to max out her damage, and this is against Decay, who's the second tankiest head. It's a big difference, very big, from 180 or 230, let's say, for Husk. You need a lot more. If we come to Wallmaster Othorion, on Nightmare, he would need 679%. That's a lot. And by the way, Marius the Gallant is in here as well. His multiplier is even lower. Wallmaster has a 3.5, right? So 3.5% compared to Royal Guard or Husk with 10%. Marius is a 3%. Marius would need 812% crit damage, which you're probably not hitting anytime soon. So how do we get around this? Well, we can see if we look at Wallmaster Othorion, on Nightmare, for instance, if we add in a Weaken, 25% more damage, we go from 679% to 496% crit damage, which is obviously still unreachable, but we're in a much better scenario, right? It makes a big difference. If we stack, if we get, this is with 30% ignore defense, 30%. If you stack on your Hydra area bonuses, like I mentioned, you get up to that 20% extra. That makes another absolutely massive difference. And then, of course, the big one, right? The big one that really is necessary for any top-end PvE champion, especially for Hydra, is Crushing Rend will probably double your damage as well. Or, in other words, it will sort of half the requirements. It's absolutely busted, right? This is going to give you a huge amount of ignore defense, and you're going to easily do it. So this is something you have to watch out for with Wallmaster. It's actually very, very difficult to build him with enough damage. You can see his A1 actually does pretty well against these decapitated heads as well. It's pretty hard to build him with enough damage to actually, max it out, right? Basically, it's very, very tough. So this is why, like I said, we have Helm Smasher. That extra ignore defense from Helm Smasher is going to help us cap out our max HP or get us closer to the cap. It's going to give us a lot of value because you're simply not going to be able to get enough stats on him, realistically, without Helm Smasher. Without the blessing to slam it out. So yeah, look, this is the important thing. Every bit of crit damage matters. Most importantly, every bit of ignore defense matters. They all add up to really help you push your Warmaster and Acrisia, and for everyone, we'll get there with Marius eventually, one day. With Marius, it's going to make a huge difference as well to get the maximum damage out. It's the downside of having these multiple enemy max HP hits. That being said, it's still going to absolutely clap, right? The move will absolutely clap. Let's see him here against some decapitated heads, maybe. Again, you can see his A1 is doing decent damage. Here we go. You can see like a Shamael in pretty solid gear is doing whatever, Did a big chunk. We had like 200k from him over here. Let's see. It looks like he should be coming back around to his move. Let's take a look at it here. We've got decreased defense on one head anyway. A little bit unfortunate, by the way. This Hydra rotation, there's 3 Force Affinity heads, and this team has got 3 Magic Affinity damage dealers. It's kind of a disaster. He should come in now. Let's see where we're at. Come on, everyone's taking a million turns. Okay, so we're at 107 million. Gonna come in. Bam, we went up to 109 million. So, you know, he can do like 2 million damage per A2. It can really add up to a ton of damage very quickly. So it's pretty sick. What's the idea of this team? What champions have I put in with this team? What is going on? We've got Vaultkeeper Wixwell in the lead. Remember, oh my god, we gave Willow the polymorph dog, or the polymorph sheep earlier today. She is ripping it apart. This is what my dog thinks of polymorph. Oh my god. I don't know if you pick up the tearing sounds on the microphone. It's good. She's actually been pretty sickly today. She's not been doing well. So it's nice to see her perk up. This destruction has made her happy. Yeah, you can see the damage in the background, what's happening. And you can see as well how frequently Wallmaster is getting around to his turns. Like he's boosting through those turns pretty quick. Anyway, this team, we've got Vaultkeeper Wixwell. Remember, we talked about this tech. I'll probably do a proper guide on Wixwell in the next couple of days as well. Put him in the lead of your team. Why? Because if he is in the lead, so long as everyone has max health, right, Head of Decay will attack the lead person. Head of Decay always attacks whoever has there. You can see, by the way, did you see that? Wallmaster Othorion, mischief tanking right there. That's why we built resistance on him. Because he has so many buffs, he will be targeted by mischief. Semi-frequently. Wixwell also is very good mischief tanks. We've got sort of 2 in here, which is nice. If one of them gets devoured, we still basically have a mischief tank, which is cool. But yeah, so long as everyone is at full HP, which is relatively easy to do with Wixwell shields, right? So long as you've got decent builds for whatever level of Hydra is appropriate for you, Wixwell can keep everyone at full health, and then Head of Decay, every time he A1s, will just hit your lead position champion, because that's what he defaults to if everyone's at the same HP. Because nobody's at the lowest HP, or everyone is. So he just goes for your lead champion. That's why we've got Wixwell in the lead. So he becomes a very, very, very consistent provoker. I actually do have Nekmothar in a provoke set as well, which makes this, I think, very auto-friendly. You just slap him in. Nekmothar, if he lands the first provoke on Decay, it will basically just chain provokes on Head of Decay forevermore, which is kind of insane. It's really, really good. Let's actually skip around and see if we can find that happening. Okay, look, here's Head of Decay. So we'll see. I did take it off auto a couple of times to see if we could land the Wixwell A1, so we'll see if that actually happens or not. I wasn't paying attention for all of it, so we'll see. We didn't land a provoke there, so we probably do have a cleanse coming in at this point. You'd have to... Oh no, look, we took it off. I took it off manual, or took it off auto. You can't see it. My chair's in the way. It's off auto right now. But I was too slow, unfortunately. So we did get the cleanse. We just slap it back on auto at this point. But it does add some auto-friendliness having like one provoke set, which is just not reliable on the team. But if you land just one provoke, basically chains provokes with Wixwell. It's very, very effective. And that happens pretty consistently. Anyway, he's in there. We've got Othorion in the second position. They should be in positions 1 and 2 because, again, that's how Wixwell works with his intercept. He puts them in your team order. So he will basically try to always keep intercept on himself. Then he'll move to position 2 and so on. So by having our mischief tanks in positions 1 and 2, it means that they will be always the champions that will be... he will be trying to put intercept on, which will help them mischief tank more effectively, which is great. You can see the provoke. This time it went on Nekmothar because Nekmothar took damage. He's not full health. So that's a bit of a bummer. If you get Head of Wrath plus the Poison Head at the same time, for instance, that makes it quite hard to have the Wixwell keep everyone full health at that point. Oh my god, we've got a corpse. A sheep jumper corpse over there. Hello, yes, well done. You killed him. Look at this. Happy dog. You killed the polymorph. You killed the sheep. Are you eating part of it? Yeah, good job. Good job. Polymorph is officially nerfed by my dog. You're welcome. Where was I? So that's the team. That's it. That's part of the team. We actually have Michinaki. He's decreased defense. He's stripping off buffs from the enemy team, and he's doing just good damage. We've got Inquisitor Shamael. He's in for damage and to protect us from the Fearhead. This is the most annoying part. This is what you have to watch out for. Again, this was sort of the problem with this rotation, with this team. To reiterate, Michinaki, Creela, Othorion, all magic affinity. And look at this. Force affinity, force affinity, force. It's absolutely swimming. Half of the Hydra heads are force affinity this rotation. It's an absolute nightmare. So this team is nowhere near peak performance, right? For rotations where there's far fewer force affinities, like you're going to absolutely slam it out. But this is a problem. When reflect damage goes up, we don't have a reviver, so you need to be careful. Michinaki can remove it. But I think this time it took me ages because I think Michinaki weak hit and we were like, well, we're screwed. So you got a manual when that's happening if you want. The alternative is just bring in a reviver. Creela is the most replaceable. Creela is in here to bring increased attack for Shamael and to bring an ally attack for just more damage. So she's basically a pure damage champion in this team with the ally attack and whatnot. So you can see, yeah, we missed the buff strip. So now we just have to not do any damage because if we actually hit hard, we'll just die to reflect damage. It's very frustrating. So that lost us a big chunk of damage, unfortunately. I think Arbiter is the perfect replacement. Arbiter will bring in a weaken, which we don't have otherwise, which is a problem. She brings increased attack, turn meter boosting, revives. So that would make this team more auto-friendly if that's what you wanted to do. Yeah, like we can skip on ahead a little bit more so we get away from that nonsense with the whole reflect damage. So you can see just more big AoE hits coming in from the boys. But yeah, this is a solid team, right? It's a solid team. You could even build around Creela's increased crit rate if you wanted. I decided not to do that. But yeah, that's sort of the concept of how this team works. And at the end, this team did hit the turn limit here on Nightmare Hydra. So it did, like I said, require a little bit of occasional manual play, a little bit of finessing around reflect damage in particular. You know, the occasional dip in to do a little bit of manual play, like land a Wixwell A1 to provoke the Head of Decay if you really want to min-max. Like I said, with the provoke set on neck mode, it's a bit more optional. But yeah, this worked out really, really well. And we come to the end here and we're squeezing out some damage right to the end. And there you go. We finished this one. We hit the turn limit on Nightmare Hydra. It was an hour, 20-minute run. 460 million damage, which is really solid. And we look at the total damage. Wixwell 62. A lot of that is from the Cursed set. He's in Cursed, right? Michinaki 116. Othorion 139 million, right? Shamael 78. Nekmo 25. Creela 35. So Othorion, he is the #1 damage dealer on this team. And this is, I think, the strength of this champion. So a couple of comparisons to make here. If we come across to Nightmare, obviously, you know, a Trunda team, Othorion, he's the worst damage dealer in the game in the context of Trunda, but then again, no one's going to compete with a +4 6-star crushing rend Trunda. It's just a farce at this point. But a couple of things to compare him to some other great teams. Here's a cool team. So let's say Sun Wukong, a sort of a damage-focused block buff champion, right? Sun Wukong, he brings buff stealing and more consistent block buffs than Othorion, but Othorion brings you mischief tanking as well, and he brings decreased attack. Those are two useful things. But we can see like Shamael here versus like Sun Wukong, who's like again built for damage, versus a Michinaki as well. Like Sun Wukong is way behind. So if we compare that like for like, this would be my expectation, is Othorion is going to do a lot more damage than Sun Wukong, and he brings more types of utility with a mischief tanking decreased attack, but not quite as consistent at the buff control as Sun Wukong would be. So that's an interesting comparison right there. If we compare him to, okay, like here we see a team very sort of similar to an Acrisia. Again, this is a good comparison. The Michinaki versus a Grisor versus an Acrisia. Now, I don't know exactly how his gear compares, but we can see that Othorion probably has relatively similar damage to, probably pretty similar to a Grisor, which is very impressive. And this one, for some reason, is Phantom Touch. I'm not sure why, but, you know, it probably is pretty similar to Grisor. Grisor has the one enemy max HP hit, but better multipliers. He's got constant AoEs. Grisor is great. He's really, really good. He brings a lot of utility as well. Probably he would be slightly better than Othorion overall, I would say, for sure. But they probably have pretty similar damage output. Acrisia, as you can see now, okay, she's 5-star, but nonetheless, she is going to do more damage. Like the damage differential is just going to be larger for Acrizia. Acrizia will do more damage, but she's not bringing utility like Othorion is. She's not bringing decreased attack. She's not bringing block buffs, not mischief tanking, but she will do more damage, and she's void affinity, so you've got no affinity issues. Her passive makes her easier to keep alive. As we talked about, her multipliers are also just higher. It's easier to max them out. So I thought those were interesting comparisons to make. This is even like a Relentless Acrizia, you know? So Relentless Acrizia is out damaging, which is sort of what you would, yeah, sort of what you'd expect. Again, here you could see even more so like an Acrizia versus a Shamail. Yeah, like the damage difference is much larger. Quite a decent chunk larger. Like Acrizia will do more. But look, Othorion, he's a beast. He's really, really strong. There's no question about it. This champion, he's an absolute monster. He claps. A blessing would make a massive difference. That's sort of the key takeaways. That's the key takeaways. He's intensive to build, guys. That's the main thing. Intensive to build. If you want him to solo Spider, he can. If you want him to solo, probably do campaign as well, I guess. I don't know. Haven't tested that. But he rips through Minotaur. He can destroy Spider 10 hard very easily. He's fantastic for Hydra. But he's pretty intensive to build and to max out. And again, for Hydra, you do need a lot of these stats. You need loads of crit damage. You really want really high resistance. You want a decent chunk of accuracy. You want lots of speed. You want a lot of everything. And you want even some attack as well for his A1. Even his A2 scales a bit in attack. So, you know, you want lots of stats. Let me put it like that. A lot of stats. He will scale very well with gear. Very, very well. Like I can come in and actually this is just accuracy. It's not going to help me much. But, you know, it'll make a pretty big difference. There you go. Hopefully this is an interesting look at Wallmaster Othorion. I think he's definitely a 5 out of 5 in Hydra. He is a beast. He's one of the top damage dealers that's also bringing, you know, block buffs is almost essential utility. And Hydra, mischief tanking is really nice as well. So it's a lot of useful things that he is bringing to the team. He is very, very effective. Highly recommend him, but he's tough to build. Beast of a champion, honestly. And again, you guys feel free to copy this sort of team if you want. Again, Kreela's just in for damage. You could, again, if you had, you know, to make this team better, if you had Glaikid, the Meltwater, or if you had a Firal, the Barkhorn, you could replace Shamail with those for more damage, which would be great. You could replace Kreela then with anything. For this team, like we talked about it in the stream today, Lady Mikage would be a direct major upgrade to Kreela. She'd be way better. Throw in a Lady Mikage, and you're easily going over 500 million. I think on a different rotation where it's not full of force heads, I think this easily goes over 500 million as well. All of this stuff, you know, will add up. Higher blessings on these guys, the damage will push up. This is solid. This is my nightmare team for now, for sure. And I think I just stick in Mikage and like we're good to go. It's kind of insane. Yeah, maybe with Feral or Glockade in there, you could switch Nekmothar for Aestrid, get the Weaken in. Get Weaken in is 25% more damage. That's a lot. Though he is 6-star Cruelty, which is adding a lot of damage as well. So look, there you guys go. Lots of info in that one. Let me know. Do you have cool teams at Wallmaster Othorion? What do you think of him? He is a monster. Let me quickly show you the other builds as well, because I'm sure you are interested. So we had Kreela. She is in Reflex with high speed. I rebuilt her with high speed. And she has Soul Reap just because, and Warmaster. She's more for other bosses. So I changed her gear, but, you know, Soul Reap's not great for Hydra, obviously. Cruelty would be better, but it's fine. We've got Cruelty on Michinaki. Yep, he's like this with Helm Smasher. We rebuilt him. This is the best I can do. It's pretty miserable. Like, I'm seeing some of my friends, right, with Michinakis with like 6, 7, 8,000 defense and like 300,000 crit damage. This one's kind of sad, but it's what I've got. I'm afraid. We do have a cool build on Nekmothar though, Provoke and 4-piece Slayer to make him sort of consistent backup provoker. Honestly, this is a nice combo. Like I said, with Wixwell, you could also switch this for just Reflex set, would be really, really strong as well. And he's in 6-star Cruelty with this. Wixwell, he's Masteries like this, and he is in Curse set, which is ideal. And like so, key things, lots of key things with his build. I'll do a full guide on it, but high accuracy, resistance, and speed, and then trying to get defense for a better shield. And he is like this, obviously no blessing yet. Hopefully there'll be a 5-star cruelty, which will make it so much easier to build this. I could actually re-gear him a lot then, which would be nice. Because that, like, the extra blessing stats for defense is great, but especially accuracy and resistance from 5-star be massive. And he's very good with his double hit counterattacks, right? Very good with cruelty. That'd be very, very strong. And then Shamail, he is in reflex with 2-piece Slayer, actually. Again, he's in pretty darn good gear. So this is a very solid damage Shamail. So that should put it in context, right? This is a good damage Shamail. Yeah, and he's been sort of blown out of the water, really, by your boy Othorion. Othorion, he's on another level, really, for Nightmare. Guys, thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.